Okay, so we're back to the second part of our show, of our meeting, courage. How did I call it? Courage, caution, and common sense. The fourth part of the series, What Makes Our Inner Work Work. And in this part, if there are questions or comments, we can talk about these things. So you can either type questions in the chat, and that can also be not in English. If you want to ask questions in your voice, and also remember it's going to be on the internet, then it has to be in English, please. So are there any comments, thoughts, questions? Also, what do you feel when I share things like that with you, things that I experienced and wrote down, thankfully, so many years ago? Is it helpful? I'm allowing for time for people to write things. And anybody who wants to talk can raise their hand. If I don't see your face, if I see your face, you can raise your hand and wave to me. And if not, you can raise your hand in participants. So first of all, we have somebody wrote, I feel that it's very exposed. Yeah, it is. And as you understand, it's not that easy for me to expose very personal things. I've had to work a lot in order for this to be more and more possible for me. And this naturally demands courage from me. But I discovered that it's one of the best ways for me to teach or to show what is possible for us if we do our inner work in a way that works. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, what it says here is everything is clear, and I understand that a healthy work requires intensive work with voice dialogue, because it raises so many voices to the surface. So of course, voice dialogue is one of my main ways of working with myself and with others, although there are many others. But of course, it's not the only way. But it's a very, very good way to do the inner work and to create this very flexible and balanced base for ourselves. So yes, I highly recommend doing work with voice dialogue. Anybody says, could you say something about the aware I, please? Yes, so it's not the aware I, meaning our eyes. It's the aware I, meaning the I am. Okay, in classic voice dialogue, they called it the aware ego, but for various reasons, and because I don't only do voice dialogue, I prefer to call it the aware I. So when I am aware, for example, then I am aware aura, okay? But it's much more complex than that, because the aware I also has to do with navigation and with choice and with movement. It's not only seeing things, okay? So I hope that clarifies that. And of course, I will talk more about that in future programs.
אני מנסה לנפנף לך כבר חצי שעה.
Okay, but we're talking, Clara, hello, we're talking in English.
Sorry,
okay, and go ahead.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So I'm really feeling fortunate that you do this morning, because I fell asleep yesterday.
In front of the TV.
I'm trying not to see TV and not to see the news at all. But yesterday, when I heard about this new law, so I sat down to see something, and then I fell asleep, and suddenly I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and shared a lot about what is happening. And I feel that I have a very violent character. Really, that I'm a healer for many years. Like, I did now a big project of mine. I told you about it. So I managed to do this film and to do it for my birthday. That was this Saturday. And I feel like I became a healer, which is a killer. I really want to kill all these conspiration people, Bibi Netanyahu. I really want to kill them. I don't feel any place in myself anymore that is thinking about meditation will change it now. I think we have the emergency time. I'm second generation to the Holocaust. My family was saved really by miracle, but I really want to fight. So in this morning, I wake up and I see that they took off a post of mine in a very, very big group in Pardes Chana. It's a huge group. It's almost 18,000 women. And we did a lot of things, we changed things, and we did a lot of things for the community. And the woman that, started it, she just started it in innocent act, because she came from Tel Aviv and she was very lonely.
Yeah, but so, Sarah, let's stay on the point, okay?
On the point, they took off my post, and I woke up and saw that they took it off and it's the second post that they take it off. And I wrote in redaction that it's not politic, it's emergency, and I feel so frustrated. So I feel it's such a lot of dmuyot, because it's also the inner child that is very insulted.
And I understand. So
it's also the character that wants to fight, that just wants to kill now also the manager of this group.
Okay.
So I'm very.
You're very, yeah, I can see, yeah. So listen, can you listen?
Okay. I don't know what to do, if just to leave it all and just concentrate in my project, because I can't.
Okay. So what you're going through right now, of course, is something that happens to all of us in all sorts of situations. Be it in extreme situations, in political, or many things can cause things like you're going through. Now, I want to remind you of a few things. First of all, it seems that, as you said, you have an insulted child. The child is not, is not really receiving, I think, the care it needs from you now in order to feel accepted by you, taken care by you, okay? And again, it's not enough to just understand that this is what works. You actually need to find a way to really do it, to talk with this kid and to help it. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, the other really important thing that you brought up, and I'm sad for you because it's clear that you're feeling very bad, but it's so important that you've brought it up, is that one of the most dangerous things, it seems, for us is when we become very polarized. Okay?
What is this word?
מקוטבות. Okay, so what seems to have happened to you, and that's very, very normal and happens to everyone once in a while, is that you are very much identified with certain parts of yourself, and you become polarized against other parts that right now you only see outside of yourself. So it can be the prime minister, or it can be people who do not agree with your point of view, or people who want to pass certain laws that you think are a problem. So what it creates is not only an inner split, an inner rift, and an inner war inside of you between different sides, but it also actually creates a rift in society in a way, because you right now you're not really able to see any other point of view, and you're not in the aware eye. So you're not really navigating from the aware eye. You were sort of kidnapped by a few of your inner selves, and they're leading you. Now, again, that's very normal. It's not a bad thing, but it doesn't really work well. You know, even if you want to do something political or to be successful in creating change in the world, usually, as far as I can see, good change that doesn't cost millions of deaths, for example, or that doesn't completely ruin everything on the way, there's a much bigger chance for it to succeed if we manage to stay in the aware ego. And that means that we also need to see that the things that we most hate outside of ourselves also exist within us. And that's, you know, part of our dark side, for example. So what I suggest to you to do is to really do the work and see, for example, if you're extremely angry and you want to kill the prime minister, for example, or whatever, you know, and it's just feeling, you're not going to do it anyway, that's for sure.
But I would do it if I was on jail, I would do it. Yeah.
Well, I'm not so sure, but let's leave it at that. Okay? This is going to be on the internet. Okay? So I don't really believe it would anyway. But you do have, and many people have, very naturally parts that feel that way. And then these parts you need to talk to. Okay? Because right now they're kidnapping you, and it's not as if you're bringing a lot of good to society or to yourself, or even raising consciousness to things that worry you this way. And you can see a very good example. When you were writing posts from that point of view, being kidnapped by certain sub-personalities of yourself, it was taken off because it was polarizing, and people probably felt that it was too violent or too, you know. So what I really suggest for you is to figure out who is talking within you, and to embrace all of them and get back to the aware eye. Okay? And then from that point of view, decide how you're going to do your work in the world. בסדר?
בסדר, I just want to say
Just briefly, because I want to give time for others as well. Okay?
Say it's like it's politics. I say it's not politics. I say it's, you know, it doesn't matter now, right or left in politics, or black or white. It's really to fight for freedom, you know, for democracy. So.
Okay, but do you want the fight to be successful, or do you want to shoot yourself in the leg right from the start?
No, I want to be successful, and
okay,
also.
So do your work. Do your work. Do your work.
Okay? I want to be also concentrated now in my success, because this project I put the film Thursday. I need to do many work to publish it.
Okay.
And I can't afford myself, even economically, that my situation is so bad. I can't afford myself to be now kidnapped by this anarchist.
Yes, yes, and the anarchist is fine, you know, as a part of you, if it's balanced by many other parts, then it's no problem at all. Okay? No, they all your parts are great, but if they kidnap you, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, neither for them and for their ideologies or desires, nor for you. It simply doesn't work well. So figure out how to stay balanced and how to stay in the aware eye and embrace them all. It's not about saying this part is bad and this part is a problem. No, the opposite. You embrace them all, but you're not allowing them to run your life. Beseda?
The last sentence, because someone called me.
Sorry?
I didn't hear the last two sentences. Someone called me and it.
Okay, so you can listen to this whole conversation, and I suggest you do it. It's going to be on Facebook, and I'm going to send the recording. So just listen to it again and do your work. You'll thank me for it. Sit and do your work before anything else. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a few more things people have written here. Okay, somebody wrote, this morning, I began thinking that perhaps within me, there are selves or inner parts that are unpleasant or don't look good, even disgusting, and that it's very hard to talk with them. For example, those inner parts of me that want me to fail, or that think that I'm stupid or that I don't deserve anything. Great, thanks for that. So this really ties in together with what we were just talking about. Yes, we all have these inner selves that think we are stupid, disgusting, and stuff like that. If we don't acknowledge that, they'll just, you know, keep operating whether we know it or not. But if we create a relationship with them, it's amazing what can happen. You know, so again, be courageous enough to look yourselves in the eye and to see both the wonderful stuff and the things that for now you think are disgusting or are problematic, or those sides that don't like you, you know, and learn how to view all of them without polarity and without judgment. They're all simply parts of ourselves, and that does require courage, but that's what works. Okay. Another thing that's written here, when I'm in this process, like now, many times wonderful things happen, but it's also very hard. It often happens within my process that I don't appreciate myself for the process that I'm doing. Great point. Thank you for that too. So this ties in with what we spoke of, I think, in the second part of this series, about being able to acknowledge the work that we do and to notice how courageous we are to just do it, you know, whether it succeeds or doesn't succeed, it's really very courageous to be doing the work. And it's very important to make a practice of acknowledging it, really saying to ourselves the words, and even telling other people. You know, sometimes it's very good for us to share this with somebody who won't laugh at us and say, you know, I'm really working. You know, it's sometimes really wonderful, sometimes really hard, and I'm doing it with courage and with patience and with whatever you need to do your work. And this also is part of the of nourishing ourselves, and it helps us build the foundation that I was talking about in the first part. What do I mean by that? I often, when I work with people that I facilitate or my students, I notice that they even seem to forget where they were a few weeks ago, a few months ago, a few years ago. They sometimes don't acknowledge the changes that they managed to create in their lives and in themselves. And when you do acknowledge that, then it's, you know, it's as if you've planted a garden and something grew, and you notice that something grew in your garden, that you grew, you developed, you transformed, you healed, whatever. Or if we'll take another metaphor for that, you've built a part of your inner home or your inner sanctuary, or whatever you want to call it, your inner temple, and you acknowledge each and every brick. Because if you don't, and you don't even really once in a while congratulate yourself and celebrate yourself for doing your work, it's a little bit as if you build the first row of bricks and then you forget about it completely and you start building another row of bricks somewhere else, or you just, you know, just ruin it all and you have to start afresh. So this is really, really important. Okay, so the same person says, acknowledgement in my process only happens when there is success. Okay, so first of all, many people don't acknowledge themselves even when there is success. So that's great already. But the thing to acknowledge is not only when we succeed, but simply for doing the work. Because as we spoke, I think in the first part, and you're very, very welcome to go back to it, sometimes a lot of our work, we don't see immediate results. You know, if I waited for immediate results when I was beginning my inner work, I would probably not continue and not heal to the amount that I've healed, or transform to the amount of that I feel I've transformed, because, you know, it's really very much like gardening. You don't always see immediate results. You know, for example, if you plant a tomato seed, it takes time for it to grow. Okay, and you still have to remember to water it and to, you know, take care of it until it grows. And sometimes, you know, if you talk about a fruit tree, you know, you might need to wait 10 to 20 years sometimes. I'm not an expert, but many years before you have any fruit. And if you forget to take care of this tree or forget where you even planted it, then you won't be getting the fruit. Okay? So acknowledging work that doesn't work is just as important. I sat down and I tried. Wow. And it's, in a way, sometimes even deserves more acknowledgement, because it's hard to work when you don't have the immediate results. But this really, really is a process, and only some of the things have immediate results. Okay. Anybody else want to say something to end our meeting? I'm going to unmute us all for a second, just for us to say goodbye. If it works. Okay. So you're supposed to be unmuted, but it doesn't seem to be working. You can unmute yourself if you like. So thank you so much for joining me, and we'll meet again next Monday, exactly a week from now. You're very welcome to share this on with other people, English speakers around the world. So if you feel that this is useful, so it gets to other people as well. I see somebody wrote something. Oh, no, sorry. Okay, so since for some reason the unmute isn't working, it says everyone is unmuted, but you're not. Very strange. So I'll just say goodbye to you all. Thank you very, very much for coming. See you next week. And much, much love. Bye-bye.